So here is my rear suspension upgrade that I'm trying to implement. I'm basically going from this setup to this setup. In this case I have a factory stock regular E90 and such lower control arm with that is stamped welded steel with regular shocks that have studs or pins, whatever they are called, on both ends. I'm going to replace all of this with aluminum M3 or 1M lower control arm, which is aluminum, and I'm also upgrading my shocks. In this case I'm going with Koni yellow adjustable. In this so this setup is an aluminum control arm instead of steel, like I just said. The difference is that it has a different style lower shock mounting. Well, I guess I should say that like the most common shock that I have seen has this type of mounting on both ends, and those are widely available in different sizes, lengths, models, brands and such. But a stud on the top is also kind of common. What should I make a note of is that this upgrade requires a new set of bolts. This one is a camber adjustment bolt. As it can be seen here, it's much longer. So the regular bolts cannot be reused because they are shorter. The bolts, okay, so if I go to this side also requires a totally different bolt. Well, it's not totally different, it's the same size thread wise and all. It's just longer by about 25 millimeters. I would say there is a specific number to that. I just don't remember what it is, but the original bolts cannot be used because they are much shorter. So if anyone is going through that setup or through this upgrade, these bolts hardware, this hardware, which is bolts, is a requirement. Nuts are supposed to be replaced every time the bolts are removed and such, but they are the same size thread and everything. Camber, eccentric washers, I guess, that are used to adjust, that are used in pair with these camber adjustment bolts, are the same as regular ones. Like I said, anything can be reused except for these two bolts, and naturally the lower shock mount requires a specific bolt that is used with these control arms. It's a M12 by like 110 or 120 millimeters long. So the control arm has a clearance hole on this end and has a thread on this end. Threaded hole on this end. The controller arm accepts those regular M3 shocks or 1M shocks that are used on M3s and 1M cars. So that's a direct fit. I'm going with E46 rear shocks in this case.